Introducing a completely redesigned experience that you can sense. And that senses you. The new Dell Latitude laptops bring your work closer to you.
Tonight, the link between property crime and a spike in antisocial behaviour across the territory. 5 weeks of paid holiday leave, the new push for Australian workers. Gill netting under the microscope as commercial fishermen call for a buyback scheme. The new Virgin flight routes opening Uluru up to the world. Plus regret over the tackle which may have KO'd the Blues' hopes of reclaiming the Origin trophy.
This is 9 News Darwin with Paul Murphy.
Good evening. Territorians will have a chance to voice their views on crime and antisocial behaviour as part of a newly released survey. The Property Council aiming to compile the views of NT residents and businesses, putting them before both sides of politics.
Crime and chaos in the NT, affecting the everyday lives of Territorians. The Property Council set to investigate the issues at hand.
The survey really looks into property crime for commercial businesses, but also what the impacts have been through the crime that has happened or that antisocial behaviour.
It's the second year the NT Property Council has launched its Crime and Antisocial Behaviour Survey. Last year, around 400 people took part, with predictions this year's participation rate will be even greater.
So far we've already had around 90 respondents across the entire territory, so we are going to get a good range of data that we want to be able to present.
Businesses and residents on the ground admit they are feeling the constant impacts of the issues at hand.
I have way too much stock. I keep buying and because I keep hoping that it'll change, but I don't think it's going to. Not in any big hurry at all, actually.
Feeling a bit unsafe, you know, go to the servo or get in your car. You lock the doors now, didn't used to lock the door.
While the survey does have a central focus on commercial precincts, the Property Council is urging as many residents as possible to complete the questionnaire.
Because there are questions like if you believe that it's impacting the population growth, the tourism markets, and this year, ahead of the election, we have put in some political questions as well.
The results will be delivered to the Chief Minister and the Leader of the Opposition before the Property Council's debate on July 31.
I don't think there'll be anything in that Property Council survey that I do not already know from talking to Territorians across the length and breadth of the territory.
We're very keen to see the results of the Property Council survey, a survey that the CLP take very seriously as an indicator of how the community are feeling.
Georgie Dickerson, 9 News.
An extra week of paid annual leave sounds nice, but it could become reality if trade unions get their way. Their proposal also includes younger workers getting paid more, although employer groups say it will all end up costing jobs and businesses.
You want something to eat?
Before dawn in Adelaide, the Prime Minister paying for coffee.
Gotta get the right one.
Pretty good here.
He was served by 24-year-old Katie. Tonight, though, unions want any younger colleagues to be the ones paid more.
Those young workers, they pay full rate on groceries, full rate on rents.
Junior rates apply to 75 awards in low-paid industries such as hospitality, retail and fast food, usually for those under 20.
As an 18-year-old, I'm earning $10 less than a 21-year-old, roughly.
This is quite a natural thing that junior workers would be paid less than seasoned workers. And that's reflected in the current settings.
Tonight, the change is just a proposal and would need to be negotiated into awards or approved by the Fair Work Commission.
I support the Fair Work Commission and Fair Work Commission having proper processes.
And in the City of Churches, a union prayer for another week of leave for Australian workers.
We would again urge that common sense be applied here.
These proposals come at a time of weakness in the economy and productivity, but they also come at a time of increased union influence here in the corridors of power. The Prime Minister and Workplace Minister Tony Burke honoured and on hand as unions gathered last night.
Our trade union movement will not forget what this Labor government has done.
Charles Croucher, 9 News.
Talks are underway between the Territory Government and one of the top end's biggest gillnet operators. The commercial fishing company says it's open to selling its licences back to the government as recreational fishers call for the end of the practice altogether.
It's the battle over Barra that's long been bubbling in top-end waters.
There's more there, look. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Traditional owners and recreational fishermen share deep concerns over the use of gill nets by commercial operators.
They're indiscriminate killers. Everything that comes in their path, turtles, dugongs, bycatch, queenfish, everything gets killed. And just to try and catch one species, which is barramundi.
Last year, that led to traditional owners banning commercial fishermen from parts of Arnhem Bay. Just this week, vision emerged allegedly showing gill nets in these restricted areas. Wild Barra, which owns around 70% of the territory's gill net licences, denying that's the case.
It's clear the GPS coordinates in that footage show that the gill nets weren't inside the intertidal zone.
But now the territory's biggest gill net operator says it's coming to the table, penning a letter sent to both sides of politics. In it, Wild Barra asked the government to help them access banned waters or buy back some or all of their gill net licences.
We've suggested to the government that, there may be time to look at a restructure. Our belief it would require some sort of buyout or compensation.
Now they want all stakeholders at the table.
We just want to see the gill nets bought out, show the licence operators some respect, some dignity, shake their hands, say thank you very much, but that brown industry is no longer acceptable.
Recreational fishermen are calling on the government to go the same way as Queensland, which has brought back the majority of its licences to largely phase out the practice. Any similar deal brokered in the territory will cost millions.
We've obviously invested a lot of money, not only just in buying licences.
At least one other licence holder 9 News spoke to says they'd consider selling. But as for the Territory government, it says it's met with the relevant stakeholders to discuss gill nets, but has made no decisions to change the existing arrangements. The Northern Land Council was also contacted for comment. Hannah Taylor, 9 News.
A Supreme Court judge has wiped his decision that potential jurors have to complete a questionnaire to determine if they can sit on the panel in the trial of a man accused of fatally stabbing bottle shop worker Declan Laverty. Instead, the jurors will be asked to disclose in court if they've signed a petition seeking criminal law reform or were involved in rallies following Declan's death. Keith Keranua is facing one count of murder. His trial begins tomorrow. Celebrity croc wrangler Matt Wright's matter has been adjourned again after a call over mention in the NT Supreme Court. His legal team continuing its attempts to resolve the matter without a jury trial. Wright is charged with attempting to pervert the course of justice relating to alleged events after a fatal chopper crash in 2022. He denies all charges. Wright is listed in the Supreme Court on August 1. Accused high country killer Greg Lynn has sensationally given evidence from the witness box at his Supreme Court double murder trial. The former Jetstar pilot told the families of the couple he's accused of killing he's sorry for their suffering. Court reporter Amber Johnson also revealing his actions in trying to dispose of the bodies he described as despicable.
Partners, sons and grieving daughters among those converging on the Supreme Court for what would be standing room only in one of the most significant days of the trial to date. All eyes were on the witness box as Greg Lynn chose to be one of the very few accused killers to be questioned at his own murder trial. You understand that not coming forward, causing immeasurable pain to their family and loved ones, that people will regard your acts as despicable. It was despicable. All I can say to the families is that I'm very sorry for their suffering. An apology almost 3 years after the remains of Russell Hill and Carol Clay were found in Victoria's high country. The 57-year-old telling the court he panicked, torching their campsite and their bodies before painting his car and removing its awning in an attempt to cover his tracks. Do you deserve to be punished for that conduct? Yes, I deserve to be punished. In this trial, have you offered to plead guilty to the destruction of evidence? Yes, I have. But despite standing trial on 2 counts of murder, Lynn claims he had no reason to kill either of them, maintaining it was all a tragic accident sparked by a dispute over Mr. Hill's drone. As a result of that dispute, you murdered Mr. Hill. That's not true. You took aim at Miss Clay and you shot at her multiple times. That's not true. Attention quickly turned to his career as an airline pilot with Jetstar and his ability to remain calm and make quick decisions. But what you want the jury to believe is that on this night, immediately after these killings, you unexpectedly panicked. I was a panicked person, but I've been trained to remain calm. Calm even during the gruesome clean-up at Bucks Camp, revealing the item he used to help. There's always gloves in my patrol. They're actually gloves from Jetstar that I haven't used. Telling the court he was a considerate pilot who always stayed back to tidy up. Most of the pilots just take off and leave the cabin crew to do that, but I'd always grab some gloves, go through and help them clean up.
As he stood in the witness box facing a possible lifetime behind bars, this was Greg Lynn's one and only chance at convincing the jury that he is not a killer.
Now his fate is in the hands of 14 jurors who could hand down their verdict as early as next week. Amber Johnston, 9 News.
The Greens leader is threatening to sue the Federal Attorney General over comments about the party's involvement with pro-Palestinian protests. Labor and the Coalition are accusing the Greens of stoking division for political gain.
Balaclava-clad pro-Palestinian protesters have been systematically targeting government MPs' offices, promoting their vandalism on social media and their spraying of the red inverted triangle, a symbol of Hamas. A covert campaign claiming Labor's complicit in genocide, which echoes the Greens' claim.
Labor's ongoing complicity and support for the invasion. That is complicity in genocide.
Protests outside Minister Julie Collins' office suggesting Greens' involvement. The Greens leader himself calling for a blockading of government.
The Greens have been nothing other than causing division.
Unfortunately, the Greens have been sprung doing that.
The Attorney General going further, accusing the Greens and its leader of encouraging criminal behaviour.
My lawyers have written to the Attorney General regarding what I consider to be defamatory statements.
But attacks like this one on Labor MP Jed Carney's Melbourne office on Tuesday night has all MPs on edge.
They seek in a divisive way to raise these issues in order to then weaponise them.
We are a party of peace and non-violence.
There have been 725 reports of threats being made against Australian MPs, up 160%. So every politician has an interest in avoiding incendiary comments. Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
$90,000 has been committed for this year's Screen Territory Spark short film initiative. 3 filmmakers will receive $30,000 each, a major boost to keep the industry alive.
Really putting some great scaffolding around those emerging filmmakers to make sure that we can get the best films that we possibly can.
All Spark films will qualify for entry into the ACTA Awards. Red Centre tourism is set for a boost with Virgin launching flights from Melbourne and Brisbane to Uluru. The new services will be a gateway for over 600 cities across the globe and 62,000 seats annually. Virgin's historic maiden flight from Melbourne took off today, while the Brisbane route begins tomorrow. The venture is a partnership between Virgin, the NT Government and Voyager's Indigenous Tourism. One of the guns stolen in a brazen theft at the Darwin Military Museum last month has been recovered. Police announcing Strike Force Trident had taken possession of the .45 calibre pistol and had arrested the alleged offenders. The pair is accused of stealing the firearms during opening hours. Thankfully, both had been disarmed. The second gun is still outstanding. As we go to air tonight, commemorations are underway in France, marking the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Live to Europe correspondent Jessica Millward in Normandy. Jess, a solemn and emotional day there.
Oh, hi, Paul. It certainly is. It is the morning of the D-Day anniversary here in France, and already we've seen some really poignant and moving moments. The main services will get underway shortly to be attended by the royal family, the French president and the US President Joe Biden. So naturally, security has been very tight, both here in France and in the UK, where commemorations have already taken place in the lead-up to the anniversary of the invasion that would change the course of history. A Normandy beach landing at 7:26 a.m. The exact moment 160,000 Allied soldiers stormed French shores 80 years ago. The service, one of several held at sunrise in France. D-Day Eve commemorations started across the English Channel at Portsmouth, where troops set out from. The spectacular event had song, dance and stories of the bold mission to liberate Europe in the largest amphibious invasion in military history.
I always considered myself one of the lucky ones that survived because so many of us didn't.
The King leading a long list of dignitaries to pay tribute to the bravery.
For we are all eternally in their debt.
Eric Bateman was there on that day in 1944. He spoke alongside his two great-grandchildren. The King and Queen, among many, moved to tears.
So many men and women, including my dear friend Fred, who joined up with me, but unfortunately never made it. I'm proud to be here today to honour them and to make sure they will always be remembered.
A breathtaking fly past to conclude. As more veterans gathered on the French shores where so much blood was shed. The Normandy landings weren't just by sea but air as well. The some 13,000 paratroopers that descended in the dark of night commemorated in a reenactment over French fields. Australia's main contribution to D-Day was in the air. Our aircrew serving in dozens of squadrons considered so crucial in the overall success of the invasion. As the sun set, commemorations took a more sombre tone before 25,000 war graves lit up in memory of the so many fallen. In Normandy, France, Jessica Millward, 9 News.
Queensland is in the box seat to secure a third straight series win, but for some it wasn't without controversy. The decision to send off Joseph Suaalii for a dangerous tackle on Reece Walsh now dividing the rugby league world.
It was actually a bit scary. He was proper snoring out there. He got me flushed on the chin, I think. It's all part of the game, so he was a good hit and just got to keep rolling the punches.
Referee Ashley Klein took action, sending debutant Joseph Suaalii from the field in the 7th minute of the game. By far the earliest send-off in Origin history.
It was an unfortunate one that probably has taken away a little bit of the gloss from Queensland's success.
The tackle made more controversial by Sydney media's urging of the Blues to target Queensland's most electric player.
That's ridiculous.
I'll keep my feelings about that to myself.
I didn't mean it at all. I just went there to go tackle him and accidentally clipped his head.
It is what it is. Like, yeah, that's footy at the end of the day, like if he meant it or not, but just got to move on with it, I guess.
And we'll have the latest from the Blues camp coming up a little later in sport. Time now for a quick look at the weather with Hannah Taylor. And Hannah, good conditions for footy players?
Sure is, Murph. We're certainly enjoying the cooler evening here at Nightcliff Oval ahead of a footy session that's for a very special cause. I'm here with researcher Bryce Brickley, who's going to tell us all about it. And Bryce, what's this program all about?
Thanks, Hannah. Behind me, we've got Aussie Fit. It's a men's heart health program. Men come down to their footy club once a week, reflect on healthy habits and do some physical activity supervised by a health professional.
And look, what's the state of men's health in the Territory at the moment?
So looking at the national statistics, the NT fares quite a bit more worse off, particularly in those heart health statistics. So when we look at their risk factors like smoking, physical activity, nutrition, there's a huge opportunity to improve that.
And what's your advice to men out there? I mean, obviously this is part of it.
Yeah, so definitely for Men's Health Week, get involved in your local sporting clubs, get down and support initiatives like Aussie Fit. Also go and see your doctor and get a heart health check.
Thank you so much for that, Bryce. And Murph, I'll be back later in the bulletin with your weather forecast.
Hannah, we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you. Ahead in 9 News, fears of a cancer cluster at a Sydney council. One of the women speaks to 9 News. Exclusive, the next generation bionic eye changing the lives of the vision impaired. And on a highway to climate hell, the stark warning from the UN. Three women working in the same local council office in Sydney have contracted thyroid cancer, prompting fears of a cluster. Council has launched an investigation and is confident it may just be a tragic coincidence, but one of the women is not so sure.
Jenny Havilar is recovering in St George Hospital from thyroid cancer surgery.
I had my thyroid and some lymph nodes removed, and I'll get the results in a week or so.
And she's not alone after her time working on the 6th floor at this Liverpool City Council office.
To hear that you've got 3 workmates, you were 5 metres apart, and you all seem to have the same issue.
It certainly sounds very sinister.
And there's a 4th worker currently in the UK and suffering a thyroid issue.
I'm worried about my colleagues, not just on the 6th floor, that worked anywhere in that building.
A coincidence or a cancer cluster? It has the Liverpool Council scrambling to find the truth. The 6th floor of this building is now a no-go zone as an investigation is launched. The council's acting CEO, Jason Breton, informed staff at a meeting this week.
All 3 ladies are in different stages of their illness, and all three are well and rigorous and working.
He did say that all the women were working and well. Well, I'm far from working and well.
The council has reported the issue to the Department of Health and engaged an environmental health consultant who will look for any potential link.
Yes, we'll get some media about this. Okay, we'll deal with that. We have a bit of a strategy about that.
Today, the council refused interviews, instead issuing a statement. We have been informed that it is unlikely there is a causal connection between our workplace and the cancer diagnosis.
These are people's lives at risk, and we should always have them at the forefront of the response.
Fingers crossed, yeah. Hopefully it'll be all right. I'm tough.
In Liverpool, Damien Ryan, 9 News.
A Melbourne-made bionic eye has restored a sense of sight to a group of totally blind Victorian patients. The technology creates flashes of light to help them avoid obstacles and find items around the home. Emily Rice has the exclusive details.
When Colleen's bionic eye was first switched on, the 74-year-old, who is totally blind, got a bright surprise.
And it was like, oh, so it was quite exciting to actually see something.
The Geelong great-grandmother is among 4 blind Victorians to receive a bionic eye in 2018, which has given them enough functional vision to do ordinary tasks like the laundry.
Continuing to produce really good outcomes for these patients. So tick, tick, tick.
The Centre for Eye Research Australia and Bionics Institute Technology comprises an electrode array implanted behind the eye and glasses featuring a camera. That camera converts images into electrical pulses. These activate retinal cells and create flashes of light called phosphenes to help patients detect edges, shapes and movement.
So navigating around an obstacle course, identifying a door, locating objects on a table.
By using the device, I can tell that, there's trees or buildings or things like that.
Colleen still requires a cane and a guide dog, but the bionic eye means she can better navigate unfamiliar spaces inside and out.
To allow these people to have greater independence.
The next step in the Bionic Eye project is to embark on a larger clinical trial that aims to recruit more people with blindness worldwide.
The fact that it's so safe and is continuing to actually give really good results is so important.
Certainly enhances the experience of getting out there in your community.
Emily Rice, 9 News.
We're on a highway to climate hell. That's the warning from the UN as the planet experiences its hottest year. The average global temperature was 1.63 degrees higher over the past 12 months, the warmest period on record. A suspected Russian-Ukrainian terrorist has been arrested in Paris just weeks before the Olympics. The 26-year-old suffered serious burns after an explosion in his airport hotel room. Investigators found guns, false passports and materials for bomb making. Still to come in 9 News, the liftoff years in the making, Boeing blasts into space. Plus, a frantic rescue as 2 trains collide and a touching moment between a D-Day veteran and Prince William. "40 years ago doesn't seem that long ago, but back then you could go to prison in New South Wales for being gay. That law changed in 1984, but only today did the state's Premier Chris Minns stand up in Parliament to make a historic apology to all those who had suffered.
The first Mardi Gras in 1978 and the years before and after. Police were heavy-handed with openly gay men and women, armed with a law that made homosexuality illegal. 1,000 men were convicted every year.
Police from Darlinghurst Police Station very regularly attack gay people.
In 1984, the Rand government decriminalised homosexuality, and today that watershed moment for the gay community was remembered.
We're here to apologise for every life that was damaged or diminished or destroyed by these unjust laws. To those who survived these terrible years and to those who never made it through, we are truly sorry.
And there was thanks to the activists who changed the law, from the first openly gay member of the Upper House, Penny Sharp.
I'm able to do this job, have the family I have, my son's here today, and live the life I want because of your efforts.
And from one of those convicted and jailed, trans woman Jackie Grant.
So all my peers are dead, long gone, died from suicide, drug overdoses.
MP Alex Greenwich, not content with just an apology, is proposing an equality bill that would include giving trans people the right to change their original ID.
These are reforms that ensure teachers in New South Wales can't be fired for marrying a same-sex partner. These are reforms that say a kid can't be kicked out of a private school simply for coming out.
Today, a simple apology, paving the way for those reforms.
We're also here to offer you thanks for giving us a future that is better than your past.
Mark Burrows, 9 News.
Boeing Starliner is tonight soaring to the stars with 2 NASA astronauts on board. The historic launch follows years of budget blowouts and delays.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
At long last,
Liftoff.
Boeing gets its page in the history books.
Carrying 2 American heroes, drawing a line to the stars for all of us.
A decade in the making, Starliner, with crew on board, leaves planet Earth. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams enjoyed their final steps on Earth for now. There were prayers and flowers, one last look and a wave, then a message before they were bound for the International Space Station.
Now let's put some fire in this rocket and let's push it to the heavens.
Starliner has been plagued by costly delays. 2 previous attempts were aborted. Today, a cause for celebration and relief.
I see the hard work of the team and just felt, a sense of accomplishment.
There was praise from Elon Musk. Starliner is to rival SpaceX's Crew Dragon in the commercial space race.
What we're doing is expanding our reach to the stars.
Tomorrow, Boeing's capsule will dock with the International Space Station. The crew will test Starliner's ability to act as a shelter. Sonny and Butch also carry a pump to fix a plumbing problem on board the ISS. They're expected to return home in 9 days. Humanity is reaching for the stars. In the United States, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
Prince William has shared a touching moment with a D-Day veteran who asked him about Princess Catherine's health.
I was going to ask you if your wife was getting any better.
Yes, she'd love to be here today.
The Princess of Wales has put public duties on hold while undergoing cancer treatment. Slovakia's Prime Minister has spoken for the first time since an assassination attempt that left him critically injured. Robert Fico says he forgives the stranger who shot him and blamed the attack on his political opponents. A freight train has collided head-on with a passenger train in the Czech Republic, killing at least 4 people and injuring more than 20. No word yet on the cause. Still ahead in 9 News, the job that requires hands-on experience taken. A frightening encounter for a family on safari, and Australia's oldest woman turns 110. She reveals her secrets to longevity next. After a nationwide search, a Queenslander has been chosen to be Domino's Pizza's new hand model. Tonight, we're getting a sneak peek behind the scenes at his first job and the new products from the pizza chain coming to a billboard near you.
His application was a standout, showcasing his strong but soft hands. 39-year-old Matt Strain from Logan was chosen from more than 100 applicants to be Domino's Pizza's new hand model.
Well, they are unblemished by, hard work. I think that probably helps a lot.
Racing's landmark series.
The United States and Australia, it is fireworks.
The competitiveness, it's pretty cutthroat.
I was just so desperate to win.
Every single meet was like an 8-round boxing match.
Michael Phelps creates Olympic history. Beyond the dream. What do you think we come here for? Silver? Stuff the silver, we come for the gold. Boiling Point, Sunday at 7 on 9.
No matter what your business, large or small, we know your territory. Gallagher work with thousands of businesses across Australia. From small startups to established brands. We bring our years of insurance knowledge into your world to protect everything you've worked hard for. Any risk, anywhere. Gallagher, insurance, risk management, consulting.
The Amart End of Financial Year sale is on now. Get up to 60% off a huge range of furniture, including lounges, living, dining, bedroom and more. Don't miss out. Purchase online or in-store, only at Amart.
Every year, Carnival Fever takes over the top end. The anticipation, the energy, the entertainment. You see, when we turn it on, it's quite the thing. The Great Northern Darwin Cup Carnival, 8 days of racing action. We're turning it on. Get your tickets now at darwinturfclub.org.au.
We sell quality late model four-wheel drives and commercials all over Australia. We organise safe, cost-efficient freight and Australia-wide warranty. Give us a call or go to our up-to-date website, autotrendnt.com.au.
Australia's oldest woman is celebrating her 110th birthday. South Australian great-grandmother Lorna Henstridge has been throwing a garden party by 3 generations of her family.
It's almost overwhelming because I would not expect it. I would be hobbling around.
Lorna still enjoys a daily crossword, walks and coffee dates with her daughter, and her secret to a long life, staying active. This is the moment a toddler was grabbed by a giraffe while visiting a drive-through safari park in Texas. The young girl was sitting in the tray of a ute with a bag of food for the animal when it snatched her.
Paisley was holding the bag like this, and the giraffe went to get the bag, not get her, but ended up getting her shirt too and picking her up.
Thankfully, her mum was close by and able to catch her. Coming up in sport, the Maroons wondering if the tackle on Reece Walsh was deliberate. A Pies forward gives the coach another headache ahead of the King's birthday, and the 2 Aussies set to play a big role in the NBA Finals before heading to Paris.
Intuitive, capable, and above all, intelligent. The Ford Escape is fearlessly designed and makes every day effortless.
Blues players have backed Joseph Suaalii to bounce back from a horror origin which saw him sent off after just 7 minutes. The man on the receiving end of the tackle, Reece Walsh, has questioned if it was deliberate but says it's part of the game.
Reece Walsh riding his team home, looking sprightly.
You know, him get me. Yeah, all good, brother. All the best. Yeah, no, I remember, you know, the lead up and all that, and then getting up off the ground. I was a bit fuzzy before that, but nah, all good.
He was copping it from fans and giving it back.
Crowd love you, mate. I saw you, they were giving you a bit of lip.
Oh yeah, they were giving it to me. So that's footy. You know, you love that sort of stuff. That's why you turn up and do what you do. But yeah, it's all good.
Queensland team manager Nate Miles gave Suaalii a spray as he left the field, saying to Joseph, "I hope you enjoyed your debut." It was fortunate that Joey had a strong group of family and friends around him last night. His teammates saying Miles was out of line.
I didn't hear that actually. Oh yeah, that's actually pretty low of him, eh? Oh well, it is. There's the big Origin Arena, and you know you get cop sprays every now and then.
No thoughts. He's retired.
I guess you can say what he wants, right?
Yeah, he's not playing anymore, so he can do what he wants.
Be cut short after 10 minutes is disappointing for him, and yeah, like I said, mate, that's sometimes the cards you're dealt, and he's a strong kid, and he'll work through it and he'll be back, and yeah, he's got so much to offer.
He definitely bounced back. I'll definitely get around him. He's my Blues teammate, my Roosters teammate, and
I've been with him since the start, so I'll definitely throw my support around him. I'm sure many people will as well.
We always go out there to compete, but not to hurt each other. So, I hope Walshy's all good, and I'm sure Joseph will be, doing everything he can to, check up on the bro and make sure he's all good.
And as for a bounce back in game 2...
Super proud of the boys. I thought we absolutely scrambled out often. I'll be ready to go for game 2 as well.
I don't think the character of the side can be questioned.
Oh, absolutely, mate. We'll build on that all week.
Hard to win a series, I know. It's one down. It's going to take some real guts.
Yeah, well, mate, we're always going to have to win the next game, so...
Danny Weidler, 9 News.
Collingwood star Bobby Hill has sent a scare through the Magpies camp after injuring his ankle at the club's main training. Hill would become the 16th name on an ever-growing injury list for the reigning premiers, but Craig McRae remains optimistic.
Just as training was winding down, the last group of Collingwood players signalled for assistance on the far wing. Bobby Hill, unable to put weight on a twisted ankle, but Craig McRae isn't sounding the alarm.
I just spoke to Bobby, he's fine. He's just just tweaked his ankle a little bit, but we've got four days before our game and there'll be no concern there.
If Hill plays, he'll be joined by Reef McInnes and Will Hoskin-Elliott, bolstering a forward line that faces Melbourne, desperate to bounce back from a 92-point drubbing.
I was watching the game through the entirety and I'm going, wow, no, that's not Melbourne. And I think they'd be saying the same.
In the wake of an AFL investigation into another expletive-laden outburst, Alistair Clarkson has conceded he still has work to do on controlling his emotions.
When you have the character and mindset of me, it's particularly challenging. I've just got to keep working on it and try to reduce the amount of times that I get caught up in those situations.
But he's been making progress with the help of professionals to deal with stress he says has been created by the Hawthorn racism saga.
We can't dismiss the fact that Fags and myself have been under enormous amount of pressure over the last 18 months, doing a lot of work with the sports psych and doing a lot of things. There's just so much going on in our lives.
Griffin Lowe completed his first full training session since an ACL rupture, but there's no time frame for Colby McKercher's return from a foot issue, unlike Max King, who will play after jarring his knee last week. Ross Lyon convinced King and other big names will continue to be drawn to Moorabbin due to their work-life balance at the club.
Our environment's really important. We'd like to think we give them a lot of time off. I think they get 3.5 days a week.
While Hawthorn's surge in form makes them a destination once again as they prepare to take on GWS in Tasmania. Xander Maguire, 9 News.
It's a massive couple of months coming up for Australian basketball stars Dante Exum and Josh Green. Tomorrow they'll line up for the Dallas Mavericks in Game 1 of NBA Finals against the Boston Celtics. Then they've got their sights set on Paris and Olympic gold.
In Boston's revered and feared TD Garden, Dante Exum and Josh Green are about to play the biggest series of their careers.
Where I come from in Australia, Castle Hill, it's like, you dream of stuff like this.
It's a long way from those early days, playing for his junior basketball team, the Penrith Panthers. Drafted by the Mavericks in 2020, this has been Green's breakout season. As Dallas stormed the Western Conference.
When we moved over to America and I was about to move back to Australia to play Australian rules, but I'm glad I chose basketball.
He's now on a contract worth more than $60 million. For Dante Exum, this is a comeback after serious injuries and setbacks.
In the corner, 3 Exum.
Spending 2 years in NBA exile in the European League.
Looking at me and Josh and being here, it's possible. You just got to work hard.
The Boston Celtics are seeking NBA history, what would be a record-breaking 18th title. But the Mavericks are relishing being the underdogs.
Josh is great. Exum, his first year with us has been incredible, and they've been a big part of our success.
The Aussies will be key role players in their first ever NBA Finals, a career milestone before heading to Paris, where the Boomers are aiming for back-to-back medals.
We're both excited, and I think the Olympics is going to be a great opportunity for us to kind of, pick up where we left off in last Olympics.
We're going for gold, man. Going for gold.
In Boston, Alison Petrowski, 9 News.
Alex de Minaur's dream French Open run is over. The Australian defeated in the quarterfinals by world number 4 Alexander Zverev. Despite the loss, though, de Minaur is still equalled his best result at a Grand Slam and says he's excited to be in good form ahead of the grass court season. A successful but rusty start to the T20 World Cup for Australia, who defeated Oman in their first match in Barbados. David Warner hit 56 on his way to becoming Australia's highest T20 run scorer, but Marcus Stoinis was the star, building 67 as the Aussies made a modest 164. Stoinis then took 3 for 19 with the ball as Australia won by 39 runs. Hannah has your full weather report after the break. Hannah, a foggy morning in Darwin.
Sure was, Murph, but it's made the way for a clear, beautiful evening here at this footy session at Nightcliff. The temperature right now sitting at 28 degrees. I'll have your full forecast next.
Switch on a Daikin Alira X split system with advanced streamer technology to remove more than 99% of harmful indoor air pollutants and surround yourself with cleaner air this summer. Daikin, perfecting the air.
Hello again. It was a cool, dry and mostly sunny day across the territory today. Temperatures in Darwin reached a top of 29 degrees and a low of 21 overnight. The humidity very low all day, peaking at 55% overnight and staying in the 30s for much of the morning and afternoon. Right now, it's 28 degrees in the city. Taking a look at the satellite, mostly sunny across the country apart from southwest West Australia, where a cold front is bringing a band of cloud and rain, and in New South Wales where a low pressure system is bringing heavy rain onto the coast. For the capitals tomorrow, sunny in Brisbane reaching a top of 20 degrees, rain easing in Sydney, top of 19 there, afternoon showers for Canberra reaching 15, few clouds for Melbourne and Hobart, overcast in Adelaide, top of 17 degrees, and a shower or two possible in Perth reaching 20. Back home, sunny in Howard Springs, a top of 29 there, fine in Katherine, 25 degrees there, Tennant Creek forecast to hit 20 degrees, clear skies also predicted for Alice Springs, a top of 17. Slightly warmer in Yalara, 18 predicted there. On the Darwin Harbour, seas below a metre, southeasterly winds from 10 to 15 knots, high tide of 7.3 metres before 7 a.m, dropping to below 3 metres after midday. Our catch of the day winner today is Jace, who caught this monster 70-centimetre golden snapper from a wreck in Darwin Harbour. Well done, Jace. Don't forget to send your catch of the day entries to newsphotos@9.com.au. Sunny in Palmerston tomorrow, reaching a top of 29 degrees. Those same conditions in Humpty Doo, and in Darwin tonight to reach 18 degrees. As for the next 7 days, temperatures will hover around the 29 to 31 degree mark, below average for the next few days, and then warming up slightly next week. Well, Murph, this very special footy session for Men's Health Week here in Nightcliff is about to wrap up soon. I know the players have enjoyed those cooler conditions, so let's hope that it keeps it up.
Absolutely, and an important message to boot as well. Thank you, Hannah. To Money Matters, and global interest rates have begun falling, while closer to home, the big banks are reaching record highs. Here's finance editor Chris Kohler.
Commonwealth Bank's share price has been one of the finance stories of the year. Today, it topped a new record high, around $125 a share. That happened right on cue, because ABS data today also showed the average new mortgage size across Australia is now a thumping $675,000. And that's a record too. So today we saw clearly big loans mean big bank share prices. CBA helped the share market as a whole, the ASX gaining 52 points. The whole finance sector is now up 3% this week. And the Aussie dollar was back within reach of 67 US cents today. Finally, interest rates around the world are starting to come down. The Bank of Canada cut rates for the first time in 4 years last night. The European Central Bank is tipped to do the same tonight, and markets are pricing in 1 or 2 cuts in the US this year. Most major economists reckon Australia will be a little bit behind, 1 cut expected in November.
Good on you, Chris. Thank you for that. And that is 9 News for this Thursday. Thanks for your company. I hope you can join us again tomorrow from 6 p.m. Up next, the Sky Blues take on Queensland as they look to wrap up the Women's Origin title in Game 2 of the series. Fingers crossed they can get the job done. I'm Paul Murphy. From all the team, good night.